Howdy. Hi, y'all. We're going to do a Q&A for the Metabolic Reset, which is going to start in a week, less than a week, more than a week, April 8th. We just had an epic live call. Hi, welcome in. We had a really good live call, but that recording is only for people who signed up, just to keep privacy of everyone who joined and spoke on the call. But I wanted to come and answer all the questions that came up in that call, as well as in the forms of people who submitted that were interested in this reset. Hi, love. Welcome in. So please, if you have any questions, stop me if it has anything to do with Ayurveda, a metabolic reset, the change into spring and how we can optimize our immune function and our digestive function. Just go ahead and bop it in there. If you want to come on live too, you can. Just know that this recording is going to be live for people who have questions about resetting the metabolism. So on the 8th, we're going to be doing a group cleanse, which we do on spring and fall, and this is going to answer all the questions as to why. It's also going to support you if you want to do something like this on your own and do it safely, but I always recommend having some kind of support. So let's just dive into the questions. Oh, hi. Okay. I love you all. Thanks for being here. So the first question I got was, are we eating mung? Mung beans. If you don't know what mung beans are, when they're whole, they're green and round, and when they're split, they can be green and split, or the husks are removed and they're yellow and split. And this is a extremely easy to digest protein source, complete protein when mixed with a grain. So we are going to eat mung, and we eat mung for so many reasons. One, because it's extremely easy to digest. If you're going to do a metabolic reset, what we want is extremely digestible, easily to digest foods. This way, the energy can centralize, quickly do its work, right? Digest that easily to digest food, and then use the rest of that energy to clear the waste that has been building up from the past season. The waste that's been building up through diet and lifestyle in the past several days or months or years. So we choose mung beans for that reason. When we mix it with a low glycemic index grain like aged white basmati, then it's a complete protein. Also, the astringency of the mung tones the colon, and it also calms and soothes our nervous system. Again, once it's blended with the complete protein, becomes a complete protein with a grain. We can stabilize blood sugar levels for the rest of the day. And the calming that occurs is because the soluble fiber of the beans, of the mung, pulls adrenaline during the digestive process. Hi, Ollie. I think it was your birthday recently. Happy birthday. So yes, we'll have mung, but if you don't have access to mung beans, that's okay. You can have something else like lentils, something that is easily digestible, easy to cook, and is accessible to you. This isn't about like you have to have one thing and it's the only thing, okay? But we have to make this right for you. Hi, Sophia. It's so nice to see you here. So that's why we have mung. And if it's not accessible to you, it's okay. You can have something else. Brown lentils, red lentils. Red lentils are really quite easy to cook. So what is a mono diet? What is a mono diet cleanse was the question. Yes, a mono diet cleanse is the cleansing process that we induce through having one or just a few types of food. And that looks like one to a few days to a week of eating the same kind of meal for every meal. I know that sounds scary, especially for those of us who are like, I love excitement, I love spices, I love combinations, and I'm passionate, these pitta-driven beings, which I love you all, because that's me. If you saw my stories of my red inflamed skin, that is very, very heightened pitta, aggravated. And so the simplicity of this mono diet lowers the digestive load. Not only the digestive load, yes, in our digestive system, but our liver, and also hydrates so we can have a natural kidney cleanse, essentially. And we have all of the essential, again, amino acids and minerals through this mung, through this porridge, essentially. And if we don't add anything else to the mix, then the body creates a rhythm. And we hop on the circadian entrainment of Mother Nature. When we do that, it's like we float downstream. The body knows when to induce cortisol levels in the morning and before bed. And when we do that, then the body becomes efficient and calm. Efficiency and calm, which allows us to let go. The mono diet allows the body to feel calm and able to let go. If we hold on something really tight, clearly I'm not going to let go. But the body, in a freeze response, naturally due to just so much going on in the world, in our immediate lives, in our external world, external lives and all over the globe, it can create a tension, even if it's really subtle. So if we at least have easily to digest foods constantly on a mono diet, and we have all the essential amino acids, we have complete protein, we good, then we can work on the backlog, calm the body, calm the nervous system, and let go. So a mono diet is having one to a few types of food made into like one meal for several days with nothing else. That means we're not going to snack, okay? We're going to cut snacking after a few days so that in that digestive process, 3 hours, 4 hours to overnight, 12, 16 hours, the body can flush what's already in the GIT and work on, again, the backlog, anything that has been perpetually attached to our fat tissues and is perforating and is ready to go. This mono diet helps us get there. What am I going to be eating? Okay, we talked about this a little bit already. The first 3 or 4 days, we remove inflammatories as much as we can, as efficiently as we can. So this means we're going to remove processed foods and we're going to wane off of caffeine gently, lovingly, slowly, not forever, but yes, we will be reducing that, and that's because we're coming into summer, and that summer time can lead to burnout, and we don't want to overstimulate ourselves with caffeine, and we want to get the body to know how to propel waste down and out with its own strength and not needing something like caffeine. So we're going to have the first 3 to 4 days of balancing meals is what I call them. Balancing meals. And these meals are not going to create so much activation, and it's not going to create so much depression, right? Activating foods, again, like the caffeine, like the spicy foods, or the depressing foods, like the processed foods, like the croissants, like too much heavy. We're going to add things in that are balancing. In Ayurveda, this is called sattva, the thing that creates the ability to discern if this is right or wrong for me. The ability to discern, should I go or no go? Okay? So we'll have foods that are, the balancing meals are 1 grain. Choose 1 grain. That can be rice. That can be, instead of a rice, it could be a potato. It could be farro. It could be couscous, right? 1 type of grain, quinoa. 1 protein. The protein source could be like, balloons. Fun. The protein source could be a party, could be a meat source, like a clean meat, ideally, that's well sourced, ethically sourced, as much, as best as we can find. It can be beans. It can be a lentil, right? A protein source. Mushrooms is not doesn't really count as our main protein source. If we could add nuts, like toasted cashews, toasted almonds, and mushrooms. Great with grain. 1 grain, 1 protein, 1 or 2 vegetables, maybe even 3 vegetables, right? Definitely one that is bitter. The bitter taste, bitter dark leafy greens is what helps flush down and out, flush and create more bile. And that bile is like our soap inside our body, right? And so adding a bitter green is essential again for spring, but pretty much always for most of us. For spring especially, right? While we are working on spitting out the excess that we've received in winter. for right reasons. We love the excess in winter for winter, but it's not winter anymore, or we're transitioning, or depending where you are, northern hemisphere. And so 1 grain, 1 protein, 1 or 2 vegetables. Hi, Ollie. Good to see you. Another Ollie friend. 1 or 2 vegetables. Definitely a dark leafy green. And then 1 or 2 spices. Keep it 3 spices. Keep it easy so we're not activating the body again too much. And we're generating more of this sattva feeling, this ability to regulate. And 1 fat source. This could be olive oil, this could be butter. This fat source could be the meat protein itself, meaning I'm not going to have beef and olive oil. Okay? I'm going to choose 1. That's how we create a balancing meal. And this will be structured. It's going to be laid out, in a document, so you don't have to understand it just right here. But 1 grain, 1 protein, 1 or 2 vegetables, 1 or 2 spices, 1 fat source. And then on top of that, you can have sweet onions, salt and pepper, and maybe even a squeeze of lime. Unless you're doing meat. If you're going to do meat, you want to cook with the sour, not add it on top. Okay. This is just for digestive capacity, ability for digestion to not create more toxicity, more heat like pitta. Okay. So that's going to be the first. What am I going to be eating was the question. The first 4 days is balancing meals, waning off the processed foods, getting into more simple foods, and then we get into the porridge, the congee, the kanyi, the rice porridge. Every culture, every single lineage has a sick food. In the Philippines, we have arroz caldo. And it looks very similar to kanyi, which you find in most places in Asia. We're going to have some kind of congee, some rice porridge. And what this does to the body is it regulates blood sugar levels when we have it on its own, cooked in a way that is, or with mung beans as well, cooked in a way that the rice is becoming more almost gelatinous, but we don't want it to be like a jasmine rice. We want it to be a more complex, more ideally aged white basmati because the glycemic index is down. I know. Good to see you. I'm going surfing next week. Maybe I'll see you there in the San Clemente. So we want the rice, we want a porridge that is so easy to digest. And the mung, again, creates a complete protein. So we can, again, regulate blood sugar levels and ease out our hunger throughout the day, but at the same time, work on backlog of waste that's been stuck in the GIT, stuck in the colon. And then we have all of the essential, again, vitamins. The astringency helps to propel and strengthen the colon in this porridge. It's very simple, it's easy, and it's tasty. And then we have that for about 3 days. By the end, we add some vegetables. So we add the bitter taste to propel, again, more downward flow and bile production. And then we build on the porridge. That congee becomes a kitchari. In Ayurveda, in Sanskrit, kitchari essentially means mix. So we're mixing more things. In New Age Ayurveda, a lot of people do just a kitchari cleanse. The thing is, kitchari is harder to digest, is actually challenging to digest. Classical literature says it's heavy. It's heavy and hard to digest. So why would we start with that? We want to build on the porridge first. Or we want to build on a simple porridge. Okay? So the kitchari becomes a little bit more complex. We add more spices, we add oil, we add more vegetables. It creates now a more nutritive cleanse, and we'll start to feel excitement. First, we feel, and we'll get to the feelings because that was another question. We start to feel more excitement. We feel more energy, more go, more rajas in Ayurveda. Rajas is go, tamas is inertia, stay the same. Sattva is that regulator, balancing. So then after the kitchari, that's a full week. We have porridge and kitchari, these very medicinal style and nutritive filling meal for a week. And then we wane off with balancing meals. again. And the balancing meals, 1 grain, 1 protein, 1 or 2 vegetables, 1 or 2 spices. And it is a joy because we get to get excited about adding new things in a new way, because this is what's different about what we do in the group is we get embodied. Hello, we get embodied. We enjoy the food in a way that helps us feel like sensual, because what we take in is then what becomes us. So when we start to add new things, it's a ceremony, it's a celebration, and it will then dictate how I perceive and step out into the world, how I relate to the world. And yes, we're not just what we eat, but we're also what we can't digest and gets perpetually attached to us and then perforates, because the gut microbiome is always, working on things. Bacteria is always munching on things and pooping and peeing inside of us. Yes, it is true. We're all microorganisms. So when we come into this waning off phase of the porridge, it is this integration. It is this integration that we want to be very intentional. So that's why it's really powerful to do this in a group, to have reflection, and you're not alone. I went for the donuts after my first cleanse. I also did some crazy cleanses. I did like 10 days of water before, while I was in New York biking around, working in an office. Y'all, this is not the principles that we learn in holism, and those principles didn't heal my skin or my IBS or my PCOS. If you have questions, again, stop me, let me know. You can always pop on here. Just remember, this is going to be posted as well, so that people can, get these Q&As answered. So that's what we're going to be eating. And it sounds kind of like a little, you have a lot of options. 1 grain, 1 protein, 1 or 2 vegetables, 1 or 2 spices, 1 fat source. There are plenty. And so we like to share recipes in the process, which is really sweet, and ask questions like, is this a whole food or not? It's okay. But a whole food has one ingredient, right? It doesn't have multiple ingredients. It hasn't been processed. Other questions we have: why we eat the foods we do during the cleanse, the intention and logic behind the order of which foods we eat and when we eat them. That kind of was already answered, right? That was kind of already answered, right? What foods do we eat during the cleanse, the intention, the logic behind the order, right? We start with removing the inflammatories. We strip it down to super easily to digest, but sustains our body and has the vitamins we need. And it creates also a calmness in our nervous system. Sweet is calm for the body, and which helps us let go. And then we build progressively on that. Right? When we add some spice or sourness, it creates like a excitement for life. And when we do that systematically, then it's like the building blocks fit together nicely, instead of we're just piling on top one thing and another, and it can get hard for the digestive system to break down if it isn't done in a systematic way. So we introduce back the integrative foods, still with whole foods, instead of rushing into processed foods right away, because it doesn't really have much life force in them. Great. What is porridge and why? We talked about that. What is porridge and why? What is congee and why? What is kitchari and why? Okay, we talked about that. I think pretty extensively. Again, also remember, mung has so many vitamins: A, C, E, iron. We are getting a powerhouse. It is the OG superfood, our beans. And again, that soluble fiber insoluble fiber helps pull the adrenaline out of the body through the digestive process, which is not as easy to do unless we need insoluble fiber to do that. So we bump that up. And also the astringency of the mung helps to think about like a scraping sensation. When something's astringent, like that dry feeling in the body, it's like tonifying, like an unripe banana. It helps to scrape the colon along with fiber. And regulate the mucus that we have in our body if we have excess mucus from winter, which is very common, and it'll firm out our bowels, which is very good for the cleanse. Okay? How do I prepare for the cleanse? Is another question. The best prep for a cleanse is what we did last week. We did some cleaning around the house. So literally physically clear your space, throw things away, and write lists of what it is that I need. We in the cleanse, if you do it with us, we provide you the grocery list, and tell your people that you're doing something, because you're going to clear your schedule too. Hi, Lorena. It's so good to see you. You're going to clear your schedule too. So if you're going to clear your schedule, it's best to tell people, like, I'm doing something for my body. I'm doing something for my health. I'm doing something for my joy. Think of it as I'm doing a mini at-home retreat. I'm doing an at-home retreat. So if you want to reach out to someone, if things get emotional at some point, it's really nice for your people to already know. But clearing your schedule, clearing your space, and also what we do is we always talk about what are our barriers, what are typically the things that lead me off track, so we can prep for them. And we do that again in the cleanse, in the reset that we're going to have, because we practice in our body. Oh my gosh, I see the donuts in front of me. What does my body want to do? Usually it's like a tingling sensation. It's like moisture in the mouth, and it's like, I'm going to have that thing and I can't stop. You can't stop me. It's like intense. So we practice that beforehand, so that when the opportunity arises to binge, for example, our body already has experienced that, and we can calm it down. We can say, oh, I've already been here before. We're not going to blow up. What else do I need to do? What other things can I relate to other than just overeating or indulging in this thing that I have the chance to eat for the rest of my life after this. Okay, so prep. That's prep. Again, if you have other questions, let me know. This is just all the questions that came up on the forms and in class, in our call. But let me know. Ginger water. Okay. What excess cleanse behavior looks like. Okay. What excess cleanse behavior looks like. Excess cleanse behavior, we talked about this too, is in Ayurveda, when it comes to cleansing, what happens is the first thing that the Agni, or the metabolic fire, feeds on, our ability to combust, our ability to transform, that first thing that Agni eats are the doshas. The first thing, and the doshas are waste material that are either regulators of the body or dysregulators of the body. Doshas say go or no go, yes, go, on, off. Like, they help us experience joy and excitement, but they also, in excess, can create disease. So what cleansing looks like is first, excess cleansing looks like is healthy was first to munch on the doshas, the excess doshas. But then in excess, if we keep cleansing, it'll look like munching on healthy tissue. And that healthy tissue, munching on that healthy tissue could show up in exhaustion, but exhaustion could also show up in having clogged channels. Hi, Nick. So there's this excess where we now start to eat at the healthy tissues. After the healthy tissues are munched on, then we start to munch on life force, that prana. So an excess of cleansing looks like having very little energy, right? Having very little this suppleness, this sweetness to the body and to the tissues and to life. Again, there's yes, feeling heavy because the channels are clogged, and then there's also feeling heavy because my tissues are being munched on by our Agni, our digestive fire, our metabolic heat. So we avoid that by recognizing the signs of health, which we talked about on the call too. Okay, we talk about the signs of health, right? Like waking up with aliveness, waking up with enthusiasm for the day, motivation, purpose. These are signs of good health. Hunger, having hunger, and hunger at this similar time every single day. It's a sign of good health. And if we attune or answer those hunger cues and then monitor, is my food actually digested? Did I digest that last meal? Through something we call the Jirna Ahara Lakshanas, which is also something that we do utilize in the cleanse or in the reset. Noticing if my food was actually digested properly. What are those signs and symptoms? And if I can keep utilizing those, then I know that I'm not munching on healthy tissue or healthy my prana. Okay? How to cope with difficult parts of the experiences that will inevitably arise. Oh, bear, that's a good one. How to cope with the difficult parts of the experience that will inevitably arise. First would be the prep that we already talked about. Prepping. Because in the prep, we can say, what are my tendencies? What are my typical coping mechanisms? Do I usually want to depress myself because I'm so hyperstimulated and activated? Do I usually want to depress myself with the croissants, with the cookies? Or do I usually want to overstimulate myself with the extra coffee, with the sugar, with the sour foods, the spices? So what are my typical tendencies? Or sex, or calling someone, right? Like some of them can be healthy. Or like, what are my regulators? Do I usually go to music or going outside? So ask yourself, like, what are my tendencies when things get overwhelming? And if we can do that in the prep, recognize and honor in the prep, then when it happens, we can have a little bit of space and a little bit of grace, and hopefully, do something to create even more pause. For me, it's laying on the ground or hugging a tree or going outside or calling someone or telling someone, I want to eat the cookie. I want to eat it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to yell about it, whine about it, and I'm still annoyed that I'm not going to eat the cookie, but not eat the cookie. You can whine about things, but still not do it. And also, again, like difficult parts of the experience that arise, the difficult things could look different. That's why, do this with someone. If you don't do it with us, if you don't do a reset with us, then do it with someone else that's safe, right? That can support you. So that you can just simply share. If you just share the challenges that are going on, like, oh my gosh, I have a dinner party to go to and I don't know what to do, what to eat, then you can create a game plan, right? That's why in our reset, we have a day that is specifically, one day of the week that's specifically designed to just recognize what are my needs for the week. This is the self-study. We self-study, like, what do I need to prep for this dinner party, right? So prep is the best way to handle the difficult experiences or parts that arise during a cleanse. And noticing what your regulators usually are. What's a healthy, supportive regulator? Is it music? Is it a pillow? A pillow like moving, holding it, squeezing it, and then moving slow. Like, what is it that you need? There's so many different ways. This is why we talk about so much regulation in this work. Co-regulation, regulating with others or living things, including animals and Mother Earth. Auto-regulators like music, food, PlayStation, or self-regulation, right? So we learn all of these different types of regulation so that when things come up again, we just recognize, oh, life is inherently overwhelming and stimulating because our senses are always turned on unless we numb them with things like alcohol or other things. But our senses are always turned on, so that's usually why we reach a sense of overwhelm. So what are my typical needs to support when I am stimulated, overwhelmed? And we practice. And it's not going to be perfect. I chose the donuts. I chose the donuts a lot. Or cheese. It happens. It's okay. Have your support, have your people. There's a YouTube video of how to not revert back after a cleanse. I have that on my YouTube. I'm a fresh baby with this stuff, so check out what's there. And if you have questions or comments of like this, I need more of this, let me know, because I'm really just starting to put more things out there. But that is should help with how to stay regulated after a cleanse and avoid the binge again, or the challenging emotions, and letting them digest instead of avoiding them. I want to understand principles and learn to eat that way as well as where I can find foods that are Ayurveda friendly. Okay, I want to understand Ayurveda principles and learn to eat that way. We talked all about the Ayurvedic principles, but recognize Ayurveda is complex. It is not just about, I feel heavy so I eat light. It's not just about, I'm Pitta, Vata, or Kapha. It's not about that. To put it in that context would be a reductionist approach. Okay? So the reality is it's holism is complicated, which is why most people don't practice it in the Western world, because holism is complex. These books, all these books over here, all of these Ayurvedic books are classical literature, right? That is this much of understanding of Ayurveda, and they were just translated in the last 100 years because of British colonialism, right? So the translations of also Sanskrit to English, we have to be mindful of, doesn't create the entire understanding of the science. Not to put a damper on things, but then the invitation becomes, I must experience these concepts through me. So the question was, I want to understand Ayurvedic principles and learn to eat that way. Then learn how to tune into your senses. Learn how to tune into your sense of sight and actually feel the relationship of me looking at a screen for 2 hours. And what does that do to my body, my nervous system, my heartbeat, my back? What happens when I drink something specific? If I drink 8 glasses 8 times a day, does that actually feel good? So the principles of Ayurveda will really adhere to your experience in your body. I will always be asking, how did that feel for you? Did it feel like too much, too little, or improper? Because these are the three main causes of disease: too much, too little, or improper. For all disease, too much, too little, or improper of any of our senses: sight, smell, taste, touch, sound, right? Listening. Too much, too little, or improper. If I go down that path, I'll go down the path of disease. So tune into your senses and actually ask myself, does that feel helpful or harmful? If I keep going down harmful, then I'm willfully choosing harm. What do I need to do to break that cycle? Do I need support? Do I need a reset? What do I need? Do I need to sleep more? One thing. But tune into the senses, and that's the best way to start learning these principles. And tune into Mother Nature and what is growing around you in this season. Okay? If you feel uncomfortable, like I wore shorts outside because it's spring, but it's actually not really warm enough for shorts, put your pants on. Put your dang pants on and stop perpetuating vasoconstriction, which is going to tense the body and not allow us to release anything. Put your dang pants on and dress appropriately for the seasons. Mother Nature is telling you what to wear. Come on. We have a question. Akasha, oh wow, beautiful long name. I'm not going to read it right now, but I love you. And they probably mistranslated those texts on purpose too. So they did purpose too, as they did most of our indigenous texts. Yes. One more time, I'm going to say, and they probably mistranslated those texts on purpose too, as they did most of our indigenous texts. That is a very important, very valid point to make, which is why we get to be very, 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 very cautious about who we trust. I'm not saying to trust me. I don't know everything. Far from it. I'm a student at best. I recognize I am not an Indian living in India. I'm a Filipino, Mexican, Native American, Italian, Spanish woman born in Turtle Island, known to many as the U.S. So, and I'm learning these texts, right? So we have to always take everything with a grain of salt, because there are things that are missing from all of these teachings. Whether you get it from a reductionist approach, 100%, if you get the teachings from a reductionist approach, inevitably there will be missing pieces because it's reductionist centered, reducing everything to one concept, not towards everyone, not towards the whole. And in these, like learning, for example, classical literature, we still have to take everything with a grain of salt and experiencing it through me. Does that, what I just read there, settle right in my body? Why might it or why might it not? And who do I get to connect with to expand on that concept? So there are a lot of people, a lot of incredible Ayurvedic doctors, Indian doctors. My doctor is not Indian. She's the second American-born woman to achieve BAMS, Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery, in India and have her own private practice. Her name is Jessica Villella, and I owe my life to her. And she, I would say, is probably one of the best Ayurvedic doctors for Westerners, because these texts were written for Indians living in India, right? To the incredible, vast, different climates of India. But the principles of physics and principles of the senses stand true in a globalized setting. So it is important to take everything with a grain of salt and understand it through your body. Please, with everything. Yeah, Ayurveda is an indigenous Hindu Santam Dharma medicine. I'm so sorry, my Sanskrit is subpar, not even. We have been indigenous to those lands from Afghan to Indonesia for thousands of years. Thank you. There is a lot to continue to learn, to unearth, and to decolonize in all of this work. And so my dog was barking. I'm sorry if you hear. He's happy. He's happy. He's connecting with someone out there. So please, again, everything, take it with a grain of salt and experience it through you, please. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you what principles I've learned and that I've experienced through me and that saved my life, but that doesn't mean it's for you. And also everything has its own like mixtures as well, in the sense that we integrate, me being a very mixed bodied person, or I have mixed backgrounds. I also recognize that eating just the way indigenous Filipinos ate might not be right, or is not going to be right for me as a person living in California during a drought, during this polycrisis, right? So everything in context, that is holism. Your context, with honor and reverence to our teachers and our teachers' teachers, and that's the power of holism. So take with it what you can, okay? We keep going. And where can I find Ayurveda-friendly foods? That was the other question. Where can I find Ayurveda-friendly foods? So the thing is Ayurveda in itself is not a food, right? Ayurveda is the practice of holism. It's the science of how to live a life, right? And hi, Shani. And in this science of how to live a life, that means your context. So whatever you can get around you, whatever you have access to around you, you can have Ayurvedically, which would mean attuning to your senses, attuning to your digestive capacity, eating when you're actually hungry, right? And if you're not actually hungry and that hunger is really low, then doing what we can to rev up that digestive fire, like dry heat treatments on an empty stomach, right? Like freshly boiled hot water to start to dry up internally, but also calm ourselves down and relax from the inside out. So eating the foods with Ayurvedic principles would be more attuned to that, again, checking in with what your body is able to digest. So I'll say the Jirna Ahara Lakshanas, again, if my Sanskrit is wrong, please continue to correct me. You can DM me. Got to go back to my studies with that. But the signs of properly digested meals, that's, if you can use the signs of properly digested meals for whatever you eat, then it will become Ayurvedic in a sense, right? If I'm eating based on the seasons and my environment, and I'm eating in a way that is not in harm to the planet, right? Which is a complex topic, a whole other topic. And I'm eating based on my signs of having a properly digested meal. And I'm eating in a way that's properly portioned for my body in this time based on the capacity I have, right? How much physical activity or rest I've had. Then I'm eating with Ayurvedic principles in a sense, right? And like, again, there are many principles, but take that. If that resonates, let me know. If it doesn't make sense, you tell me and I can go more. But if I say like, this is what we said in the class, I'm like, Ayurveda is not eating something that's spiced for Pitta dosha. Like that is commercializing, commodifying this wisdom. To say, this is a spice for all Pitta pacifying. It's really essentially just labeling and making money off of this practice when triphala or turmeric, cumin, in and of itself are spices. When used in the right way, becomes Ayurvedic. But just having a whole bunch of turmeric on everything could actually cause way more harm. Everything in life can be used as medicine or can be used as a poison. The question itself is very Western-centric. Ayurveda is not a thing that we can eat friendly things to. We can eat friendly. By the way, y'all, I'm so sorry if I read like not very well. Just I'll get to it another day. The question itself is very Western-centric. Ayurveda is not a thing that we can eat friendly things to. It's about making sure your whole meal is balanced, not Ayurvedic friendly. Powerfully said, right? Your whole meal is balanced, not Ayurvedic friendly. It's everything surrounding the meal within itself, and what I'm doing before, during, while processing, and after. That's what makes it Ayurvedic, right? Powerfully said. That's what this is. This is holism. We can't sell Ayurveda. And if someone says, "Oh, here's an Ayurvedic package of oils and spices," and that in of itself, I would question and have just put your radars up a little bit, okay? And if anyone says they're an Ayurvedic practitioner and you're working on something chronic, please make sure you're working with someone who's BAMS certified, at minimum with 10 years of experience, even ideally. BAMS is Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery. I am not a BAMS doctor. I'm not BAMS certified. I am a Swastha Acharya, which doesn't actually exist in India. A Swastha Acharya has been created here because Westerners need something else that Indians don't need, essentially, right? The Swastha Acharya, the Ayurvedic health coach, is this middleman, this bridge to this, to the Vaidyas, to the Ayurvedic doctors. And so we study and we learn the principles, but we can understand them from a Western perspective, this indoctrinated mindset that can be very hard to break out of. So it's a lot of behavioral change, which is what the Swastha Acharyas are essentially should be trained to do well with the recognition of Ayurvedic principles. Okay, I hope that makes sense. This is great. I love you for these questions and comments. Very important. Impact this. Okay, what is the impact this practice has and the connection of the root issue we experience, like symptoms of low energy and or rashes, etc. The impact of these on these connections of our root issues. So coming back to the root, the questions, the principles of too much, too little, and improper. Too much, too little, and improper of any use of our senses will lead to disease, okay? So the root cause of the issues experiencing too much, too little, or improper will lead to me going on the path of disease. In Ayurveda, there's a 6 stages of disease. Satkriya Kala, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm pronouncing it wrong. In this 6th stage of disease, we start on that path if we overuse, misuse, or underuse any of our sensory organs. And then on this 6 stages of disease: accumulation, aggravation, spreading, localization, manifestation, and then chronicity. Then once we get to this chronicity or a manifestation of a disease, like you saw in my post with the skin, I've already started on the disease path. The root cause of that eczema wasn't the cheese, just the cheese itself, the dairy, but it was rather the overuse, misuse of cheese, plus the overuse of topical steroids, plus the overuse of steroid injections, plus the overuse of maybe the sense of sight, and the underuse of my sense of sound, listening to myself, and overuse of the sense of sound, listening to others. Very interesting, right? So the root of our disease is low energy rashes. Well, we get to look at, okay, well, how am I, again, utilizing my senses? And it could be, what can be really helpful just to make things like baseline principle or baseline action steps for Westerners, because again, even just saying tuning into my body can be really hard for people because we haven't had that practice for most of us, like going to school, tune into your body. It took me so long to understand that because I was so overloaded with information here and other topicals and things like this. So I needed tell me what to do and what not to do. And this is what most people come with at first, and why the swasacharya or someone that can help with behavioral change is helpful. So we start with these, removing the nidana or the causative factors of disease. Not just those 3, the actionable causative factors of our diet and lifestyle. So that's first, we could be like oversleeping. So we get up within 10 minutes of going to bed. We get up within 10 minutes of waking up, right? Get up out of bed, brush your teeth, clean the first place digestion starts when it comes to touching the body. Okay, clean the mouth, go expel your bowels. Expel your bowels even if you don't really have to go to the bathroom, because we don't want to cause pressure in the body, right? That's going to lead to, again, disease. So wake up within 10 minutes of rising, brush your teeth, clean the mouth before eating or drinking anything, go to the bathroom, and then have something to drink. Ideally, if you're working on clearing waste, something like freshly boiled hot water, something like that can help clean and clear and push energy down. And then we can also want to protect digestion, so shower on an empty stomach. That could be in the morning, or it could be before dinner, because when we talked about this on the call, so for those of you who have been there, repeating myself, but we want the digestive system to hold the blood, keep the blood centralized in our digestive organs while we're digesting. If we shower, then now the blood is going to leave and go towards the surface of the skin because it's warm, right? And that's what the sun is doing now. As the summer comes, the blood, the energy is going to leave digestive system, the centralized part of our body, and go to our skin, and digestive system weakens and impairs, which is why we change one reason why we change to lighter foods. So, again, nidana, removing the causative factors through these different tools. Shower on an empty stomach, regular meal times, meaning eat when your hunger hits, within the hour your hunger hits every day as much as possible, so you can have a rhythm and you can circadian entrain. You want to drink warm fluids with meals if you're going to have fluids with meals. You can, I have my nidana list here. Caffeine before 12. Caffeine before, ideally coffee before 12, and green tea before 2. And even waning off of that is if we can, if you're going to do something like the metabolic reset for a week or so. Attend to bodily urges quickly. Don't hold them. That includes sneezing, urination, defecation, like bowel movements, obviously sweating. You can't really, stop yourself, but coughing, yawning, crying, any sort of bodily urges need to be attended to quickly. Do not hold them in. If you gotta have gas, have your gas. Go toot it and boot it. You must. Please don't hold this in. This causes pressure in the body and can lead to serious problems over time. 1 or 2 times, a few times is fine, but like over time, it can cause some serious problems. Post-meal routine, like rinsing the mouth out, going, taking 100 steps, which is not very far, a gentle walk, rinsing even the eyes after. Again, this is like ingrained into a lot of religions for sustaining the health of the people as healthcare, right? So going after eating, going to clean the mouth, going to wash the eyes, going to wash the hands, praying, so that it keeps people healthy, right? So just take note of that. Okay, it might be hard, different for some people. Eliminate snacks. Eliminate snacks so we have we have enough time to actually completely digest our meals. Avoid napping, especially after meals, unless it's the summertime, because again, energy is really getting sucked out of through the surface of the skin with the beautiful, powerful, and also problematic heat that we have in this time. If you do need to rest with your heart above your stomach, right? So not laying horizontally after a meal, and go to bed when you're actually tired. So please just watch when you actually get tired. It's probably going to be a little earlier than you usually sleep. Notice that bout of tiredness and attend to it, so when liver activation of detoxification hits at 10, you are already asleep. So ideally that's like before 10. Did I miss anything? Even the foods that Westerners called superfoods have side effects. Oh yeah, that's why we shouldn't eat too much of anything. Yes, thank you. Again, too much of anything is a cause of disease, even if it's a good thing, even if it is the mung or whatever, the white aged basmati rice. Like anything in excess will be a poison for that body, and the excess will look different for each body. And the superfoods, goodness, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on the superfoods that really messed me up with my skin. We want to aim to first create strength in the digestive system, to be able to even break down something as complex as these hundreds of freaking ingredients that are cold and have like ingredients in them that I can't even pronounce just to keep them stable, shelf stable. Come on. It is complex. Okay, thank you. I'll try to follow those powerful suggestions. Amazing. Love you, Lorena. Goodness, we have been on here. Maybe we'll pause and then I'll jump back on and do the second portion because we still have several questions. Impacts, energy, rashes. Okay. And then timelines. So next questions we have, I'm curious about timeline and for how long I'm going to eat this. We did go over that, the timeline, for the reset that we're going to have starting next week on the 8th is a 3-week metabolic reset. The reset, we call it. 3 weeks. The first week, we're waning off of the inflammatories and starting on porridge. We have the porridge and the kitchari for about a week. Depends on you, it depends on your body. And then we wane off by integrating back those balancing meals we talked about. 1 grain, 1 protein, 1 or 2 vegetables, 1 or 2 spices, 1 fat source. And we have support. So that's the timeline. And in that process, we'll have 4 calls a week. Specifically, those 4 calls are very different strategically. The first call of the week is like a lesson, a teaching, and also rooted in some kind of like embodiment practice so that we can stay focused. But it's a more of like a learning, right? First call. Second call is self-assessment, self-learning, self-study. How do these principles, how do I use them in my own life? What barriers do I have in my own life? What works for me and doesn't work for me? What do I need to make custom? And then the third class is a thaw out, kind of like we did for the spring cleaning, which was so epic. the spring cleaning class or call, the point of it is to move and de-thaw the freeze response and stop procrastinating on something so powerful as to cleaning our physical space. So we'll have one call that's going to be like thawing out that freeze response, because when we do something collectively, again, co-regulation is the gateway to self-regulation. And so it can be so powerful to actually get something done that we might have been procrastinating on, putting off. And then the last call, the Sunday call, is a somatic Sunday. So it's really getting into the body, learning the feelings of the body, the sensations of the body. It could be a sound healing. It could be a self-massage, a gentle movement practice. And it gets our body to slow down, nervous system to slow down and digest, right, all of the information. So 4 calls a week. If you can't make it to the calls, they will be recorded for those who are in the cleanse. And again, the cleanse starts on the 8th. The price is $222. I love. And then on the 2nd, it bumps up to $444. So right now it's half off. However, if money is an issue, send me a DM, because this is not, health and wellness is not for the wealthy, the wellness. I can't even get into that. Everyone deserves to be healthy and well. And if money is an issue, please let me know. We have scholarships. I just want you in there. I just want to do this work with you. And yeah, so let me know. Send me a message if you want to do this. I just need to know that you're committed to actually doing this, and we can have a chat about that. Okay? Okay. And how much time will this take? Okay, I'm going to hop off and then come back on, charge my phone, and then finish the rest of these questions. For now, I love you, because I can't believe we had so many questions. I love you so much. Thank you for your powerful reflections, questions. Send me again a message if you have questions about this reset, if you want to do this in a group, if it can be hard to take the next step on building a physical body that is actually has the capacity for all the things that you want to do and all the people that you want to help and all the things that you want to create. Like, we're not supposed to do it alone. I know I didn't do it alone. I still don't do it alone. Like, I have my people, but it can be really hard to ask for help sometimes. So reach out if you have questions, if you want to know about scholarship, if you're ready to go. Link is in the bio, and I'll come back on here to finish these questions out in, let's say, in 30 minutes. Ooh, 222 right now. 222. Yes, I'll come back at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Okay? I love you. Thank you. This fantastic opportunity to walk into the renewal of spring. It totally is, Sophia. Thank you for that. Okay, I'll come back on here soon. We'll finish these questions out. If you have more questions, come on here and let me know. I love you.